Hello,
Hi,
this is.
hi. This is Pace from Network. How you doing?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Hey, he told me about you guys have a pending foreclosure, and I wanted to call as quickly as possible to help out with the timeline.
Yes, yes, we do.
Do you want to
Um,
catch me up to speed, and I can tell you what I could potentially do for you guys?
sure. So, in the beginning of January, Grandpa passed away, and we came down and picked up, which was my husband's uncle. Got a lawyer down in Arizona and in Wisconsin to start the probate process for him, and we were told that we needed to wait till we had guardianship, which is what we worked on getting, and we ended up getting that in the end of February. Um, in the meantime, nothing was being paid for because Grandpa and Grandma always paid with checks versus automatic pay.
Right.
So, and we couldn't afford to make 4 house payments. So,
Right.
because they have 2 pieces of property up here in Wisconsin and 1 down in Arizona.
Okay.
So we were hoping that the process would have gone a lot faster, but his mom, which is his sister, the other beneficiary, has been no help on getting this process sped up. If anything, it's been a hinder because she has to sign waivers every time and she refuses to sign them. Not even refuses, she just blatantly ignores any phone calls and emails and stuff. Or even us going there, she ignores the door, us knocking on the door. So that's made the process a lot longer. So now we're stuck. We finally got guardianship. We could start the probate process, but now we have to do the formal one because she won't sign the waiver.
Is there
So,
is there a reason, just out of curiosity, that she's not signing it?
to be honest, we really don't know. She doesn't even know what it is. We can't even get a hold of her to tell her what it is. So she doesn't even know what we're trying to get her to sign.
It's so interesting in these situations, like how challenging some people can be, and there's no gain for them to be challenging.
Neat. That's what I said. I said I wish she would just answer one phone call, just one.
Right.
Well, we can explain to her, this is, if you want your money, if you want your money and things, you need to help us here. And it's costing you more if you don't sign these papers, and things like that. And we even had other family members try to call her, and she doesn't answer their phone calls either.
Wow.
But she has been estranged from Grandma and Grandpa for about 20 years, and just started talking to them again about 2 years before they passed away.
I see. Okay.
So, I mean, it's common, I guess. I don't want to say common, but she's known for not talking to people for long periods of time.
So the house I can help out with a couple of different things. And if you don't mind, let me reintroduce myself. My name's Pace,
Okay.
Pace. And I'm a real estate investor. I'm a builder. Primarily, I deal with probate related situations like this where, there might be money in the bank account for you guys to pay the payments, but there is no access to the money. So now you've got foreclosure fees racking up, and you've got
Right.
timelines that are stressful and all that kind of stuff. So my company works with probate attorneys like come in and provide unique solutions that other investors just don't even know about or don't have the resources to solve. So what I do in situations like this is I catch up the payments, I make the monthly payments, and then figure out what to do with the property. So I'm looking at the house right now, the one and I can do both Arizona or Wisconsin, or both of them, like I said.
Okay.
The one in Arizona was saying he wasn't sure if there was enough equity, or what are you guys' feeling on that situation?
I'm not sure what you mean by enough equity, but
Well, like if you sell, let's say you sell a house for 100 grand, just for math purposes.
mhm.
You hire a realtor, they, charge their commissions, there's closing costs, there's potential repairs, maybe a clean out, all that kind of stuff. So if you sell a house for 100 grand, obviously you don't get 100 grand in your pocket. You might end up getting like 91 grand or something like that, right? So
Okay.
so if you have all those fees after you sell a property, I'm not sure where their mortgage is versus what you guys are planning on selling it for, and if there's enough money in that world for you to walk away with cash. So one of the unique situations that I bring to the table is that we don't have realtor commissions and any of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
A lot of times we just take over the payments and we give you a cash out chunk. So kind of an interesting thing. Most people have never heard of it, but
I've never heard of it.
yeah, honestly, most people haven't. So basically, what it is there's an existing mortgage in place, obviously because there's a foreclosure, right?
Right.
So what we do is we go, hey, you know what? We'll just make those payments indefinitely until it's all the way paid off, and instead of you having to go on the market and pay all these realtor fees and clean outs and all that kind of stuff, I'll pay you guys for me to be able to take over the mortgage.
Why?
Because I'll turn it into a rental, or I'll turn it into something that I'll make money long term. Usually we don't get paid. We don't make our money until like year 7, but that's what we do. We just do long term. Our investments are just all long term.
Okay. Okay, I was just curious.
Oh, of course. No, I'm happy to. Sometimes people will ask me literally 2-3 hours worth of questions about this one topic. So whatever questions you have, you let me know.
I don't any right now yet.
Yeah, you might, and don't feel shy or anything. Just ask me any question you have. So I want to pull the property up. It's the house on.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
And the last statement that we got from the bank said they owed $103,000 left on the house.
Got it. Okay, cool. Oh, there's equity in this house.
Yeah, there is.
Oh yeah. I don't know why, but okay, got it.
I thought he said that it was $165,000, like not or something. He looked up something and it said it was worth $160,000, $165,000, and they bought it for $130,000. So
yeah, they bought it for $130,000 6 years ago. So it's appreciated a little bit, which is great. So there is equity, which is awesome. So okay. If there is equity, here's what I do. I can pay more money typically when I take over a mortgage. And I'll kind of explain the difference between these two. So you either as an investor, you buy the house, you renovate it, and you make it look, 2000s era new, right?
Right.
If they bought it 6 or 7 years ago, it probably doesn't need a lot. It probably just needs like a cosmetic, maybe $10,000 to $20,000, something like that.
Probably in pretty good shape, at least in my eyes, it's in good shape.
Yeah, so probably not a huge thing. So basically, I would look at it and go, okay, what could I sell it for on the market? And then I would take out, what's the cost to catch up the foreclosure? What's the cost to pay for the mortgage payments along the way? What's the cost for the renovation? Blah, 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 blah. And then I would give you guys an offer and essentially buy it with cash, which we do that all the time. But when somebody says, hey, we don't know if there's any equity, like we had a seller a couple of weeks ago that was like, my parents bought this house literally 20 years ago. They did a cash out refi and they got all their equity out in a big chunk of cash. They went out, they were vacationing and living life to its fullest, and there was no money to make the mortgage payments when they passed away, and now the house doesn't have any equity. And so they were planning on just letting the house go to foreclosure, and I said, no, don't let it go to foreclosure. I'll come in, take over the mortgage, and I'll at least give you like $5,000. They're like, you're kidding me. You'd give us $5,000 to take over a house that has no equity? I'm like, absolutely. Because think about it. If I have to go down to my local bank and I go get a loan, typically they're going to ask me for 20% down for an investment loan, and my interest rate typically is going to be higher than if I just take over somebody else's loan at 3% or 4%. So for me, I really don't care about the equity situation. What I care about is, can I turn this into a rental and get a return on my investment on year 7, so to speak?
Right.
But that's not your situation on the house in Apache Junction, which is great. The situation with the house in Apache Junction, you guys would just get cash and I would pay off the mortgage because there is equity.
And we would just walk away, right?
Yeah, you just walk away, 100%.
Okay.
The property in Wisconsin, I don't know if I have that address.
I have 2 addresses. One we would like to keep, and us to live in when this is all done and over with, because it's a bigger house.
Okay.
And one is in Fond du Lac. I have both addresses if you want.
So the house that you guys want to live in, are you guys going to buy it, or are you just going to take over the payments?
We don't know yet. We don't know our options yet.
So I'd be happy to walk you through that, like for free, just to show you how to take over payments of somebody who's deceased.
Well, in my head, let me tell you what the scenario in my head is.
Okay, yeah, I'd love. This is all I would do is talk real estate. I love this stuff.
So we think, we're not 100%, that the house in Fox Lake is worth $150,000, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
They have $58,000 left on the house.
Nice.
What we want to do is buy the house out from the sister,
Mm-hmm.
and then use some of the money that he gets to pay off the rest of the house, so there's no more mortgage payments.
Got it.
I don't know if that's possible, but that's what I wanted to do.
So
The best option to do that way, there's no mortgage payments.
So house number 1 is Arizona. House number 2 is the one that you don't want to keep, and house number 3 is the one you want to keep. So the house number 3, the one you want to keep, has a mortgage of $58,000.
Correct.
So
however, there's a twist on this one.
Fun.
We think there's a land contract with the current renters on it.
Oh, got it. Okay. So that means that if there is a land contract on it, then it's actually sold. The tenants are actually the real owners of the property.
I'm not sure if that's how it's written. I have the contract.
Oh, I'd love to look at it.
Yeah, I can. I don't know how to, unless you want me to take pictures with my phone, you'll have to wait till Monday.
Are you an iPhone user?
No, I'm an Android user.
Yeah, the challenge. Yeah, I don't know why Android does this, but it's so hard to send photos. But if you can, that'd be great. If not, I'd wait till Monday. No big deal.
Okay, so from what I've read, and I'm not the smartest cookie when it comes to legal jargon, they have until August of this year to give Grandma and Grandpa $150,000, or anything up to the point of August is lost for them.
Okay, so that's amazing. So it's a land contract with a balloon. So it means that they have a balloon that is going to pop in August, and if they don't pay off that balloon, which is $150,000, then the contract falls apart and they have to get out of the house.
That's what we were thinking.
Yeah.
So I was hoping, and I know this is kind of mean, and knock on wood, and sorry God.
It's business.
Maybe there's a loophole in there somewhere?
Possibly, but I mean, the reality is they're going to have to go get a loan for the $150,000. I doubt a tenant's going to be able to just have $150,000 in cash.
Well, and I think in our favor, they tried to buy the house back in 2015 or 2016, and they didn't have the credit to buy it.
Yeah. And then is that when he signed the land contract with them?
Correct.
Got it. So so I do a lot of land contracts. And the reason I do them is the same reason, right? I have a tenant that comes, or I have somebody that comes to buy the house, and I can sell the house for a lot more money on a land contract than I can just a traditional sale, because obviously I'm selling it to somebody who's going to fix their credit, and I'm giving them a 5-year time frame to do that. So they're willing to pay more money for the house. So here's what happens. No joke. It's probably 98% of people that buy on a land contract from us never go and fix their credit. In fact, their credit gets worse over that 5-year period, and they forget how fast life goes. And they wake up one day and they go, holy moly, my land contract is due in 4 days, right? That's literally how most of our people are. So we never, again, it's business. So I'm not sending them an email every three weeks and saying, hey, just so you know, your land contract deadline's coming up. It basically comes up, and like 2 weeks before the land contract's due, we go, hey, we haven't heard anything from you. What's going on? And they go, oh my gosh, can we get an extension? That's literally 98% of the people we sell land contracts to.
That's what we were banking on.
Yeah. So I'd love to see the land contract. I'd love to read through it and just kind of give you my professional experience on it and advice.
I can take pictures of it, or you can wait until Monday and scan it.
Yeah, take pictures. I'd love to see it. And then you can text it to me or email it to me. I sent you an email a little bit earlier today. You got copied
Yep.
on it at least.
Yep, I did.
So you're hoping to sell house number 2, the house you don't want in Wisconsin. You take the proceeds from that and then pay off the $58,000 that is remaining on the one that you want to keep.
Well, there's money in banks too, so there's going to be money involved too.
Love it. Okay, cool.
So that's what I'm hoping to do. I don't want to have to take over a mortgage if we don't have to, because we already have a home here in Fonda, like our own home that we own. And that's why we're in the kind of the predicament we're in, because I can't afford 4 houses. so that, hold on, I was trying to pull up the contract. Here it is. Option to purchase real estate.
Yeah, so it's not a land contract, it's a lease option.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. So it's a lease, so they're just renting, and they have an option to buy at the 150 price. So a land contract is a lot more serious. I didn't try to correct you when you said land contract. I was like, this sounds like a lease option.
Well, it just sounds. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. It just sounded like a land contract because it's like notarized and lots of signatures and.
Yeah, so lease option, which is good. Most.
What does it mean? What's the difference?
Difference is a land contract means you've already sold the house.
So this one means they haven't sold the house?
They're giving them an option to buy it at the price of 150, which is way, way less serious. So if the tenant was going to buy it by August, I wouldn't disrupt the tenant. I wouldn't remind them. I wouldn't say anything to them, because the likelihood of a tenant actually being ready to buy the property and going out and getting a loan. So here's a land contract. A land contract means that the tenant doesn't have to go out and get any financing, because the seller is giving the financing to them. And so the seller is qualifying them and saying, hey, I'm just going to pass my financing over to you, and this is my land contract. You are now the owner of the property. That's a land contract. A lease option means you have 2 different contracts. Okay, you have a contract. One contract is the lease, and the second contract is an option to buy it at a specific price. So that's the option you're talking about, is that option to purchase real estate. Yeah, so it's a way that, really, it's really good. I would much rather have a tenant with an option contract rather than a land contract.
Sweet. Yeah, because the rest of this is like residential rental agreement.
Yep. So like I said, 2 different contracts. You got a residential rental agreement and then an option to buy. They're 2 separate contracts. That's good news for you. The likelihood of them taking... So here's the other difference between a land contract and a lease option. Is that land contracts, typically the buyer of a land contract is bringing a much more significant down payment to the table, and they're way less likely to fall out of that contract. But an option buyer or an option tenant, which is what you have, they usually don't really bring any money to the table, and so they usually just walk away from it and go rent something else.
Okay.
And by the way, if they were serious about buying the property, here we are. What do we got? They have some time, right? They've got some time. They've got about 6 months. So usually, you'll hear from your lease option tenants. Here's the other thing. The closer it gets to my deadline on my lease option, so I do 5-year lease options as my exit strategy. And my 5-year lease options, that means my tenant has 5 years to buy the property from me. And that means they have 5 years to go and secure funding at Bank of America or Quicken Loans or whatever. Most of my option tenants that actually execute the option contract, they do it on year 2 or 3. So if you're on like year 4 or you're on year 5 and you're going down all the way down to the wire and you're like 6 months away, in our minds, we almost guarantee that is not going to get executed, because if they were going to buy the property, they don't wait until the last minute and then just magically pull a rabbit out of their hat. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Makes me feel a lot better about it too. So I'm assuming the contract still doesn't change though, regardless, because it's still a contract.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to cancel the contract. You're not going to be able to do anything. You kind of have to just wait it out. And if I were you, I would just simply not bring it up to the tenants whatsoever. You're not obligated to do so. But you just definitely do not want to remind them of their timeline, because now you're giving them, and look, it's a business decision. I'm very sorry to say it as well for people that are not business owners and don't own real estate. There's people that would be upset hearing this stuff, but I have friends of mine that are in the same business, and they say, we loan to own. And what that means is they loan money knowing that at the end of the day, they're just going to own the property because the people are going to fail to make the payments. So it is part of the business. It's the reason why you give people a lease option, is typically the person who's renting the property is paying a little bit more money in rent than normal rent rates in the area, because they are excited about the option to buy. But if they were really excited about the option to buy, they would have executed that option probably a year or 2 years ago.
If they go against any of the rental agreements on this, is that something that's different as well?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. So the lease option, a lot of people think it's one contract, but like I said, it's two separate contracts. You've got a lease agreement or a rental agreement, which you're holding, and then you've got the option agreement. Those are two separate documents. The only way you have the right to execute that option is if you have abided by making your payments on time. So we have a gentleman right now on a property here in Arizona on Mercury. He comes in, he gives us, check this out, Cassandra, this gives us $7,500 as an option fee, okay? It's non-refundable, and we give him a 5-year option to buy the house, okay?
Okay.
Month 3, he says, I'm going to, follow the CDC guidelines, and I'm going to not pay my rent because I legally have the right to do so. And we go, oh, brother, we advise you do not do that, because it's going to cancel out your option contract. The government can't jump into the middle of my option contract. And he says, you can't do anything to me, you can't evict me, you can't do anything, and blah, 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 blah. So sure enough, he stops making his payment. 4 months later, we get a judge evicts him, and now he's lost his whole entire right to that $7,500, and he has no right to buy the house.
Wow.
Yeah, so you not abiding by your rental agreement cancels your option to buy it.
What about like petty shit? Because I'm sorry, I can get pretty petty, but like the place is a disaster right now.
No, that unfortunately no. I mean, at the end of the day, if you brought it to a judge, right? Anything that you bring, hypothetically, the way I look at it is I go, look, I can go to a judge and say, Judge, we told this guy not to stop making these payments. It says in our lease agreement, da 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 da. But if it's something like landscape is overgrown, you can fine them or give them a fee, but you can't cancel the option contract over something like that, because a judge is going to override that and go, dude, are you serious? You have to get,
You're being Miss Petty?
Exactly.
I can get pretty petty if I need to.
Of course.
I did email you the contract.
Okay, awesome. But yeah, I mean, for me, I would look at that and just say, that's pretty promising that a lease option tenant has not executed the option yet. That'd make me feel great.
Okay, good.
So the other house that you guys have, house number 2 that you do want to sell, do you guys have an idea of what you want to sell that for?
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you on this one.
I don't even buy in Wisconsin, to be honest. So what I would do is I have people that I know in Wisconsin. So if you told me the price, this is what I do for houses in Wisconsin. I'll be honest before you're honest with me, so you feel comfortable. So what I would, you tell me a price on the house, and I would go to like 4 or 5 of my friends that are investors in that area, and I'd say, hey guys, if you pay me $1,000 as a finder's fee, I'll let you buy this house from this lady at this price. So that's all. In Arizona, I'll be the one buying it from you, but the one in Wisconsin, I would interface you with investors, and those investors would pay me $1,000 fee.
Okay. The one in Fond du Lac, which is house number 2 that we don't want, is a rental.
Got it.
Pretty essentially. They bought it for $55,000. They owe $40,000 on it.
Okay.
And in my eyes, we'll be lucky if we break even at 40.
Okay, so I can help you. So again, let's go back over my two options, right? I can, like the house, I'll buy that cash, assuming you and I can work out an agreement, okay?
Right.
Easy. I'll be the buyer. I'll take that. I'll do a fix and flip with it. And then I'll basically put on the market in 3 or 4 months. Actually, it'll be a lot longer than that because we've got you have a formal probate you have to go through due to the knucklehead that's not answering the phone calls.
Yep.
So I would basically put that on the market probably January sometime next year, and I would do all that stuff. Okay, the house number 2, I would actually take over your renter. I would take over the mortgage, and I would give you guys some cash.
She doesn't want to live there anymore. She's looking for a new house.
That's okay. I'll find another tenant.
Okay, just to let you know, it's actually my husband's sister who's living there. Grandma and Grandpa purchased it for her to live in because she was down and out on a house.
Love it. So I would basically just take over the mortgage. I would make the payments, and I would give you guys cash. So instead of, again, so let's think about this. If you have a property that they bought for $55K, she's lived in it, so it probably needs, paint, carpet, etc. for you guys to sell it. So 1, there's cost there. 2, it's behind on mortgages, and there's more mortgage payments that have to be made along the way, right? So you essentially probably have a chunk of money that needs to come off of whatever you sell it for, plus commissions, closing costs, all that stuff. So you're probably right. You would be lucky to break even. Mm-hmm. But if you let me take over the mortgage, I would give you cash, and then I don't have to go through real estate agents, and we don't have to go through all that stuff. And I would just take over the payments and put a new renter in there.
Even if it's a piece of shit house?
I buy houses that are burned down all the way up to the most recent home I bought was a $1.5 million house in downtown Atlanta. Awesome, gorgeous house.
Okay. So what is the downsides on doing this with you?
Well, the people that are like the downsides really only come with people who are still alive, right? So the mortgage is not in your name, right?
Right.
So people that are still alive, they go, well, okay, that means you're taking over my mortgage, but you're not paying it off. That means that my name is still on the hook. I go, yep, that's exactly what it means. I take the ownership, I have the deed, but the mortgage stays in the person's name, right? So we do this hundreds of times a year. I do it for a lot of clients and clients all over the country as well. But the clients who are alive go, well, what about my ability? I'll do it because it makes sense. But what about my ability to go buy another house using my credit if the mortgage is still in my name? And there's solutions to all that are really easy, but you don't have to worry about that because the person whose name stays on the mortgage has actually passed away.
Right. So
there is no downside.
Not that I care, but I'm just curious again.
Mm-hmm.
Would we get more money if we went a different route?
So people ask me all the time, why do people sell their house to you and give you hand their mortgage over? And the answer is always the ability to pay more money always is this route. So for example, I'll give you a really good example. I live in a house right now. Okay. It's a house I bought a year and a half ago. It was a guy that cashed out all his equity, didn't have any equity. And he needed a little bit of a remodel, and ultimately puts it on the market. About 5.5 months, it wasn't that he couldn't sell the house after 5.5 months. It's that everybody that came and gave him an offer, even at full price, his agent would come to him and go, okay, so after you get this offer with my commission, even though it's a reduced commission, the other agent's commission, because remember, when you're the seller of real estate, guess who pays everybody's commissions? You, the seller. All the commissions are paid by the seller. So right. You pay all those commissions, you're going to write a check for $20,000 to sell your house. And he's like, no, find a better offer. And the agent just kept saying, dude, are you serious that this is full asking price, right? So right. 5.5 months into the listing agreement, because most agents' listing agreements are 6 months, I get a call from the agent. The agent's name is Doug. So Doug calls me and goes, hey man, I know you do this stuff where you take over people's payments. Is there a way you can help my client? I go, absolutely. So they were about to lose the whole contract, right? The agent was about to get fired in 2 weeks because their 6-month listing agreement was about to be over. So I paid the agent $2,500, and then I gave the seller $5,000 in his pocket, and I just took over the payments. So the difference for that seller of going on the market and selling at full retail was a difference of $25,000. 20 grand he didn't have to write, plus $5,000 I put in his pocket. So if you can sell it on the market for more money in the conditions it's in, then you should do that 100%. But if you can't, I'm always the person that can pay more money. Always.
If the money doesn't go to us anyways, but I was just curious as to why you were the better option. So
well, because let me just go through that real quick. The reason why I'm the best option is because most people that go out and buy, rental real estate, what are they doing? They're either A, buying houses with cash, or B, they're going down to a bank and getting a loan with a sizable down payment, right?
Right.
So if I'm buying rental real estate and I can take over somebody's existing debt, which this has been around for 100 years, if I can take over their existing debt, then I don't have to put a big old down payment down, and now I can afford to pay the seller some money in their pocket, and then I can afford to wait for my return to come on year 5, year 6, year 7, because I don't have this massive cash outlay that most investors have to utilize to buy rental real estate.
Okay. How are you gonna slow or stop this foreclosure?
I catch up the foreclosure.
Oh, you would pay for it?
Yeah.
Before you even own?
Yeah.
Would you own the property already? I mean,
Nope.
I guess I don't understand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You asked. These are great questions. So, you technically don't have the right yet to sign a contract with me because you're not the main decision maker according to the probate courts, right?
Correct.
So what I would do is I send you a letter of understanding that at least protects me from a feel-good standpoint, where I go, hey, I'm going to go and spend money. I'm going to go spend money on catching up the foreclosure. I'm going to go spend money to make sure this house doesn't get lost to the courts while Rylas here in Arizona and while your attorney up there in Wisconsin works on getting the probate done, right?
Right.
During that time frame, I have money out on the line, and my letter of understanding at least makes me feel confident that once you are appointed, you'll come back to me and go, hey, everything we promised you, we're going to keep our end of the bargain because during this whole time, you kept your end of the bargain.
So then comes into play, I don't think it's going to happen, but I am always going to ask, what comes into play, let's say sister comes out of the woodworks and starts to fight us for personal representative.
So so here's the great question. So you're saying, well, Pace, you're going to have, $20,000 on the line of real hard cash or whatever it ends up being, right?
Right.
Am I going to come and sue you? No, it's a cost of doing business, right? So why do guys like other probate attorneys say, go use Pace's company? Is because I bring unique solutions to the table that other people simply don't. And in all my years of doing this, we've been doing this specifically with probate attorneys for about 7 years. We've been doing real estate investing for longer, but probate attorneys specifically for about 7 years. I've only had one time where I lost 20 grand. And think about all the times I've done it between then. For me to be the one person that the attorney will refer their clients to, losing 20 grand every couple of years on one deal is completely worth it. It's either that or I go spend money on marketing, right?
Right.
And I don't spend money on marketing. I spend money on just building relationships and making sure that here's my job. My job is 2 things. Number one, actually, I only have one job. Here's my one job. My job is to make my probate attorney impressed on how I take care of the situation, and how do I then do that job is make sure you're happy. At the end of the day, you and I are going to do one transaction together, but my probate attorney and I are going to do 100. So me being the guy that came in and go, like, think about how much of a Michael Jordan hero I am in his office, where he has a client that's in foreclosure and I come along and go, I'll stop the foreclosure. I'll put my neck on the line. I'll help your client out, and let's give you guys plenty of time to go through the probate, and I'll be the one on the line. And if the whole thing topples down, I'm the one standing there with my, the cash lost. And our letter of understanding can even state that I won't sue you or I won't do it. And I've never had a client ask me for that, but I'd be happy to do that.
So then, if we decide to do this, can we still get into the house to get all this stuff out?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, are you guys thinking about coming down to the one in Arizona?
Yeah, we're going to be down there next month. We already have plane tickets for
Sweet.
somebody coming to us, and we've already asked off. And then all of a sudden I get this saying, oh, there might be locks on your door when you get down there.
Yeah, I'll get my locksmith over there. I'll change the locks. We'll put a lockbox code on it that you choose, and you come down. You have free access to the house. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I'll coordinate all that.
All right. And we can stay in the house while we're down there, right?
Yeah, you could stay. Is it livable?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Are the utilities turned off?
No, we're paying for them right now.
Fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it's your house. It's not my house. It's in my house once I buy it. So my job is to serve you. You look at me as your boots on the ground in Arizona, and you can say, shoot me a text and say, hey, Pace, we're coming into town. Or, hey, Pace, we can't find the key. Hey, Pace, I'm your boots on the ground. Look at me as your employee.
Okay. I'm out of questions right now.
You'll come up with more. So what I would do is this. You guys are, what are you guys trying to sell the one in Apache Junction for? What would be a good number for you guys on that?
I have no idea. We haven't even thought about any of this yet because we thought we haven't thought about anything because we thought we had to wait until he was appointed, my husband was appointed PR before we could even start anything. So we've done nothing. Got
it. Okay, cool. So why don't you do this? Why don't you and your husband have a conversation? Fill him in on what you and I talked about. If you want to get on another call, I'd be happy to do that.
Oh, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna warn you right now. My dogs are gonna bark because my husband's walking in the door from work.
Oh, no worries.
So just to let you know, you're gonna hear barking.
Okay.
So what'd you say? Have a conversation with my husband and what?
Yeah, have a conversation with him. Come up with what you guys want to accomplish on this. If you want to enlist me in helping out with all the foreclosure stuff, and I'd be happy to do the Wisconsin property and the Apache Junction property, whatever you guys need. If you
so I came up with a question.
Great.
Sorry. So basically we would need to come up with an idea of what we would want for the house and then let you on 1 second. All right, sorry. I just muted you so that way the dogs didn't bark so loud for you.
Okay.
So basically you'd want me and my husband to come up with a price of the house to sell it for, to let you know?
Usually, that's how I treat all my probate clients. They just go, hey, you know what? We see that it could probably sell for 160, assuming you got to come up with, cleanup job and this, that, and the other. We'd love to get $30,000 in our pocket. And I go, awesome, let's do it. I'll do the foreclosure stuff. I'll do this, I'll do that, whatever. Come up with your dream scenario. And if I can't make it happen, I'll let you know, right? But the last thing you want to do is I kind of look at it like a Craigslist thing. If you put up a car on Craigslist, what do you think is going to happen? People come in and lowball you, right? I don't want to lowball you. I just want to know where you guys are and see if I can come up to that price. And if I can't, I'll say, hey, love it. Let me stop by the house. Let me see what we can do. And go from there. It's a lot easier when you just say, I've actually seen people, I see sellers that go, just give me an offer. I'm like, you imagine if you put your car on Craigslist and you said, give me an offer? That's not a smart way to do something with such a big asset. The smart thing to do is just say, this is what we want. Can you make it happen? I come in, make it happen, stop the foreclosure, etc. So I would start there with your husband and then come to me and go, we want to do the Arizona one with you, but we're not sure on Wisconsin. Or, hey, we want to do both with you. Can you help us out? And then we come up with a game plan. Okay. The house number 2, it sounds like in your mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like in your mind you feel like you have another option on that, like maybe selling it on the market or fixing and flipping it yourself or something along those lines.
God, no, I was just trying to tell you that it's in bad shape.
Oh, yeah. We take over bad houses all the time.
We were thinking we won't be able to get rid of it.
Oh, no. I mean, if you let somebody take over the existing financing, those are pretty simple to get rid of.
In our eyes, we're like, we got shit that needs to be fixed before somebody would probably even want to purchase the thing. and that the inside of the house needs to be repainted, needs to be cleaned.
Yep, that's what we do.
Things like that. Like, it's just in rough shape.
Yeah, I mean, for us, that stuff is like putting on a pair of pants. That stuff is just part of the job. No big deal for us.
Okay. So, what negatives? And you said there was really none. I might be re-asking the same questions. You feel as though there is no negatives for us for doing this, and that's because nothing is in our names because they're deceased.
Well, I actually do this with people who are alive, right? So you can even talk to some of my sellers. I have the guy that I bought my personal house from. His name is great guy. He'll tell you the whole, like, he asked all the questions you're asking, and I've owned the house for like a year and a half, and it has not done anything but benefit him by having a performing mortgage in his name. It allowed him to get another mortgage. It allowed him to do everything else that he wanted to do. So even people that are alive, there's no downfall for it. However, they have more to worry about because it's still on their credit. That's the only downfall to somebody who's alive. But somebody who's passed away, there is none of those worries. And because there is really no other downside to it, then you guys have no issue whatsoever.
Okay.
And we go through a title company. We do all the paperwork through either a closing attorney or a title company. Like, none of this is just a handshake stuff. This is all done legally through, documents and the county recorder and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So
it's okay if we do this from Wisconsin?
Oh yeah. So this is kind of a cool thing too, since we do deals all over the place. So I don't do fix and flips anywhere. I only do fix and flips in Arizona and Vegas. Everything else that I buy with existing financing in place. So like that $1.5 million home in Atlanta, that it took over somebody's mortgage. So if there's an existing mortgage, I can buy anything all over the country, no issues whatsoever, because I'm a long-term investor. I'm not a short-term investor out of the state, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay.
So, yeah, it's easy. So I own a company. It's called constantclose.com. And constantclose.com is a transaction coordinating business. I have a girl named Rochelle that runs that business for me. And all that means for you is that I have the ability to close transactions in any state, all 50 states across the United States.
My husband was asking me a question.
No worries. If you want to compile another list of questions and get on another call with me, you and your husband, I'd be happy to do it.
It's probably a good idea because I'm sure he'll come up with questions that I'm not even thinking of.
Love it.
Okay, so let me talk with him, explain to him what we've gone over and the exciting news that it's not a land contract.
Yeah, that's great news.
Tell him kind of what you're offering. I'm sure he'll probably be okay with it, but I'm sure he'll have questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you guys have, take your time. I mean, I know we have a foreclosure pending, but it's not like that's going to happen tomorrow. So even if it's on the weekend or sometime next week, just shoot me an email and say, hey, we're good for a call today, at this time, and I'll make it happen.
Okay. Yeah, you're in Arizona, so it won't be so bad. It's probably 3 p.m., about 3:30 your time would be best for us, just because that's when he gets home.
Perfect. Yeah, not a problem. Anytime next week is fine with me.
Okay. And what did you say your title was again? Like, what are you?
So I own a lot of businesses. We own about 12 different businesses. We just got a TV show on A&E, by the way. I just signed a 6-year contract. So yeah, we just do a lot of real estate business. So we get people that notice what we're doing. And so that was kind of cool. It's like a fix and flip show just for here in Arizona. It's going to be called Flipping Arizona.
What?
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Are you going to be the star?
Yeah, I actually have a buddy that's a competitor of mine here locally. And the TV show is him and I him and I arguing over properties and then ultimately teaming up to flip the houses together.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it's kind of just showing people how to collaborate rather than to compete and fight over stuff.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, so I'm just a businessman.
You're a real estate investor, is that what you are?
Yeah, I would say I'm a real estate investor. I own other businesses as well. Like we have a cold call center in the Philippines, and we have other types of businesses. I own title companies and stuff like that as well. But overall, most of what I do is just real estate investing.
Okay. Okay.
So you guys shoot me an email whenever you're ready to chat.
Yeah, let me know what you think about that contract I sent you to.
Okay, absolutely.
And let me discuss it with my husband. I'm sure he'll have questions. It'll take me a bit to catch him up to speed here, but we'll definitely be back in touch.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
No, thank you, hon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.